Good afternoon, gang. David Gupple, Thinker Farmer here. It's the first day of fall, September 21st, 2023. I'm here visiting a potential land lease farm opportunity kind of outside the greater Nashville, Tennessee area. It's a 700-acre land lease. The actual amount of grazable acres or open land is probably I think last time I talked to the landowner, 200 to 300 acres, and it was formerly a crop farm a few years back. It was essentially bought kind of as a long-term land investment that'll eventually be sold in the long haul. But for now, it's mostly just being used for hunting and recreation, and it's got quite a lot of weeds and things in it. Like I said, it was crop farmed, so it's definitely been worn out. There's some annual crabgrass, and there's also some Bermuda grass. There's also some other grasses that are certainly not nearly as great for foraging. I think we've got some, I think it's called grease grass, or, hang on, gang. Get my camera set right. I think it's called grease grass or red top. So that's worth something for grazing. There is a good bit of broom sedge, which is not really a surprise on a field that's been crop farmed for a number of years. You can find some bare rocks and some space in some places out in the pastures, and definitely in the woods. So this soil is definitely done crop farming. It needs some regenerative agriculture management with animals and ruminants. On the kind of the edges of the pasture where the crop farmers probably skipped a little bit, you can find some clover, and you can even find some fescue. I would assume it's Kentucky 31 fescue. So we're in the fescue belt. We're far north enough for that. This is probably this vantage point I'm at is more or less it's a little higher that away, but this is a pretty good viewpoint of one of the larger fields on the farm. It's got a lot of edge effect. So depending on how I run the fences, probably run some of them inside the tree lines, and to get some shade. Anyway, there's a lot that I'm working through. I'm essentially figuring out. I think of a Bible verse that says, "Count your costs whenever you're going to build a tower or something." So in this case, I'm considering this as a land lease opportunity. I'm more or less counting all the costs to set up a grazing operation. And I wouldn't necessarily be responsible for all the costs. I can definitely share a number of those with the landowner, and really need to, because if I'm not going to get met halfway, there's a lot of speculation moving to a new place. There's a big challenge in commitment. I'll probably talk more about that in another video. But there's a huge challenge in moving and committing to a farm to really make this worth its while. I'm going to need most probably a 7 to 10 year lease to really turn this farm around. That's a big commitment of time on my part. And when I say turn it around, you have some grass now, but there's a lot more goat and sheep feed than there is cattle feed. So there's a lot of different variables to consider. So I've got to figure out the costs, what it's worth. You know, what's the value of the grass here to me, and then also what is what's going to be the cost of all the watering infrastructure, perimeter fence, interior fence, patching some of the existing fences, and making it all work. Anyway, gang, I'm going to be pretty busy, so I apologize if this video was just a little bit short. My ranger and I have got a fair amount of ground to cover today in checking out some things and measuring up and figuring some costs. And yeah, so blessings for the journey, gang, and keep it real.